Hello, Father Fred here again today. You know what? We just got a new Pope just today. So when you read this, you're going to be knowing who the Pope is. He is the first Pope from the United States, and he took the name of Leo the 14th. He took Leo the 14th because Leo the 13th was a person that was very interested in social justice. He was interested in the dignity of all people. So that fits right in with where Pope Francis was. Okay, remember we have a famine all over the world, not just Egypt, but the whole world, the world as they knew it then anyway. And remember, Joseph had interpreted the dream of Pharaoh. He told him what 7 years where they were going to have of a lot, abundant food, and 7 years of nothing. So they have food, and the rest of the world does not have food. So Joseph had the answer. He's going to save that food that they get in the 7 years of abundance so that they'll have food for the 7 years that are going to be bad. And remember, 7 is not just a number between 6 and 8. It means perfection. So now, guess who's going to be coming after that food? Guess who's going to be coming to supper? That's interesting. If you have a family reunion like this, like they're going to have, best for you to just stay home. Don't go to your family reunion. So let's look at that family reunion, and it's in chapter 42 that we're going to be reading about. So open your Bibles to chapter 42, and we have this. When Jacob learned that the grain rations were for sale in Egypt. Now, Jacob, remember him? He's the daddy of Joseph. He's the one that has the 12 sons. When Jacob learned that grain rations were for sale in Egypt, he said to his sons, now this is a strange thing to say to your sons. It's just like get off the couch or whatever. He says this, why do you keep looking at one another like they don't know what are you going to do? What do you think we ought to do? That's a strange way of saying it. Why are you just looking at each other? There is a solution that Jacob knows about. So Jacob says, he went on, I hear that the grain is for sale in Egypt. Now, isn't this going to be interesting? They know that they sold their brother, Joseph, to the Ishmaelites that took him into Egypt. So he's down there somewhere, but they don't have any idea where. Verse 2 again. He went on, I hear that grain is for sale in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us that we may stay alive and not die. I mean, it is getting to the point where they might die. Verse 3. So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. Now remember, he had 12. They don't know where Joseph is, so that leaves 11. Now they're sending 10, so that means there's going to be one stay home. And you can probably figure out who the one is going to be. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin. Now remember, Jacob had 2 wives and 2 concubines. He had children by all of them, but he only had 2 by the wife that he loved, and that was Rachel. He only has 2 by them. One is named Joseph. He's the one that's in Egypt now. And Benjamin, he doesn't want to risk Benjamin because those are the 2. It's almost as if the others aren't even his children. Verse 4, so Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he thought some disaster might befall him. Doesn't seem like he cares about whether some disaster falls the others. And so the sons of Israel were among those who came to buy grain, because there was a famine in the land of Canaan. That's where they all live, is in Canaan. The famine is all over the world, but Egypt is the only one that has. And you remember, this is the same thing that Abraham went down into Egypt because there was a famine in the land. Verse 6, Joseph, as governor of the country, was the one who sold grain to all the people in the land. When Joseph's brother came in, they bowed down. Now you remember that? Back when we first read about Joseph, he had a dream that his brothers would bow down to him. And his dreams, they all seem to come true. When Joseph's brothers came, They bowed down to him with their faces on the ground. I mean, they're flat down. Verse 7, he recognized them as soon as he saw them, but he concealed his own identity from them, and he spoke harshly to them. They don't know who he is, but he knows who they are. They probably figured he's dead. They know where he knows where they came from. And he asked them, and they answered, from the land of Canaan to buy food. He already knew that. When Joseph recognized his brothers, although they did not recognize him, he was reminded of the dreams he had had about them. What dreams was them? That maybe they're going to bow down to him? He said to them, you are spies. He's really going to lay it on them tough because what they did to him. Remember, they threw him in the cistern, thought just let him die, but then they finally decided to sell him to the Ishmaelites, and he brought him into Egypt. And then he's also suffered because he got put in prison, both of them for no reason. Verse 9, again, he was reminded of the dreams he had had about them, and he said to them, you are spies. You have come to see the weak points of the land, so that you might know where to attack. Verse 10 says, no, my lord, they replied. On the contrary, your servants have come to buy food. Your servants. 11. Verse 11. All of us are sons of the same man. We are honest men. Yeah, they're honest. Your servants have never been spies. They've been everything else, but they haven't been spies. Verse 12. But he answered them, not so. It is the weak points of the land that you have come to see, where you can invade us. Verse 13. We, your servants, they said, are 12 brothers, sons of a certain man in Canaan, a certain man, Jacob. But the youngest one is at present with our father, and the other one is no more. They think he's gone. They think he's passed on. Verse 14. It is just as I said, Joseph persisted. You are spies. This is how you shall be tested. I swear by the life of Pharaoh that you shall not leave here unless your youngest brother comes here. He wants to see Benjamin because it's his full brother. The rest of them are just half brothers. Verse 16. So send one of your number to get your brother, get Benjamin, while the rest of you stay here under arrest. That's what you do to spies. Thus will your words be tested for their truth. If they are untrue, as the Pharaoh lives, you are spies. Verse 17. With that, he locked them up in the guardhouse for 3 days. The number 3 occurs so many times in the scripture. Jesus was dead for 3 days. We had Jonah in the whale for 3 days. We have the Trinity. We have maybe 20 or 30 or maybe more where 3 is used. It's important. 7 also is important because in the book of Revelation, for instance, it appears 54 times, and some numbers don't appear any. It's more than just between 6 and 8, and 3 is more than just between 2 and 4. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, do this, and you shall live, for I am a God-fearing person. Verse 19. If you're honest men, let one of your brothers be confined in the prison, while the rest of you go and take home the grain for your starving families. But you must bring me your youngest brother. Your words will thus be verified, and you will not die. And to this they agreed. Verse 21. To one another, however, they said, truly we are being punished because of our brother. They are being punished because of their brother, but they don't know that that's their brother that's punishing them. We saw the anguish in his heart when he pleaded with us, yet we would not listen. He tried, and we had him scared to death and had anguish in his heart when we threw him in that cistern, but he wouldn't listen. We wouldn't listen. That is why this anguish has now come upon us. Verse 22. Then Reuben responded, did I not tell you, do no wrong to the boy? Now, Reuben, we've talked about the north and the south sometimes. The north has 10 tribes to it, just like Indian tribes. The south has 2 tribes, Benjamin and Judah. Those are 2 in the south. Everybody else seceded from the Union. Now, Reuben is from the north. That's one of the clues that this writing is from the north, this writer. Then Reuben responded, did I not tell you? Do not do any wrong to the boy. But you would not listen. Now comes the reckoning for his blood. They think he's dead. And when you have Reuben, Reuben is from the north. So we're going to see something from the south and from the north here. Verse 23. They did not know, of course, that Joseph understood what they said. They didn't think Joseph knew what he was saying because they didn't know that he spoke that language, because they didn't know that that's his brother. Since he spoke with them through an interpreter, he was acting like he didn't know. He was using an interpreter that he didn't need, but it was to let them know or make them think that he couldn't speak their language. Verse 24. But turning away from them, he wept. When he was able to speak to them again, he's very emotional. He took Simeon, that's from the north, from among them and bound him before their eyes. The only 2 people from the south were Benjamin and Judah, or Benjamin and his brother Joseph. But they lived in Judah. The 2 tribes were Judah and Benjamin. Verse 24. Then Joseph gave orders to have their containers filled with grain. Fill them up. Their money replaced. He slips the money back in there, but they don't know it. In each one sack, and provisions given them for the journey. And after this had been done for them, he sends them away. Verse 26. They loaded their donkeys with the grain and departed. Now here's something that's interesting. We're going to go to J right now. We're going to go to the source from the south, and here it is. At that night, when one of them opened his bag to give his donkey some fodder, he saw the money there in the mouth of the bag. They're on the road, and they see that their money has been put back in their bag. So that's something to remember for just a moment. He cried out to his brothers, my money has been returned. Here it is in my bag. At that, their hearts sank, because now they're thinking they didn't pay. Trembling, they asked one another, what is this that God has done to us? We have done bad, and God has done something bad to us. In their belief, when something went wrong, it was because they did not live right with God. Verse 29 says, when they got back to their father, Jacob, in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them. They still don't know that Joseph is their brother. The man who is Lord of the land, he's over everything. They said, spoke to us harshly and put us in custody on the grounds that we were spying on the land. But he said to them, we are honest men. We have never been spies. We are 12 brothers. They're still explaining to Daddy what happened with their brother. We are 12 brothers, sons of the same father, but one is no more, and the youngest one is with our father in the land of Canaan. Verse 33 says, then the man who is Lord of the land said to us, this is how I will know if you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me, then take grain for your starving families and go. But when you bring me your youngest brother, and I know that you are not spies, but honest men, I will restore your brother to you, and you may move about freely in the land. Got to bring back his brother, Benjamin. Verse 35. When they were emptying their sacks. Now, you remember back a while ago, they found the money in their bags? That was the J source, or the source from the south. Now, this is how we know there's two different sources, because there's such incongruities. Listen to this one. When they were emptying their sacks, there in each one's sack was his money. At the sight of the money bags, they and their father were afraid. They already knew it in this writer from the south. This writer is from the north. And so we've got two different times that they find out about this money. Verse 36 says, their father Jacob said to them, must you make me childless? He doesn't want to get rid of, he's going to consider himself childless if he loses the two that he really loved. If he loses Joseph and Benjamin, that will leave him childless. He doesn't really care about these others. Again, verse 36. Their father Jacob said to them, must you make me childless? Joseph is no more. Joseph's gone. Simeon is no more. Simeon is still back there in prison. And now you would take Benjamin away. All of these things have happened to me. Woe is me. Verse 37. Then Reuben from the north. Then Reuben told his father, you may kill my own two sons if I do not return him to you. So Reuben has two sons, and I bet the sons don't know about this, but he said, you can kill my two sons if I don't come back. Put him in my care, and I will bring him back to you. And the last verse says, but Jacob replied, my son shall not go down with you. Now that his brother is dead, he's the only one left. So he's only got two as far as, no wonder those other 10 don't like him. One is dead, he thinks, and the other one might be dead, and then I'll have no sons. But he's got 10 others. And the last verse says, if some disaster should befall him on the journey that you must make, you would send my white head down to Sheol in grief. Now, Sheol is not like hell. Sheol is a place for them that everybody went to. Good, bad, ugly, all of them. Everybody went to Sheol. That was just the place that the dead people went for them. So if he doesn't get his son back, he's already lost one son. Now he's going to lose his only other son, even though he's got 10 others that he doesn't really care for. What do you think those 10 are thinking while he's talking like this? Daddy, who are we? What about us? The plot's going to thicken because they're going to have to go back down to Egypt. Now, everything up to now, this story about Joseph, about him getting the bright colored jacket or coat, about him being thrown in the cistern, about him being sold to the Ishmaelites, about the Ishmaelites taking him in and he becomes the ruler, this number 2 in power. But then the Pharaoh's wife accuses him, so he gets thrown in prison. Now he's back to number 2 again, and none of the family knows that he's still alive. This is going to be one family reunion to remember. God bless you. The peace of Jesus be with you.